Wow, thank you.
You can if you don't have to.
I see Joe built a big stage for us over here, so I got to be careful not to fall off it. How's that?
I'm taller than him.
Right?
Yes. No expense.
Well, thank you so much, Joe, for having Dave and I come down. I can tell you, I was down here with candidate Trump way back in 2015 when Joe honored him as the Man of the Year award. It was a great event. I'm sure many of you were there that night. We had such a fun time. We had some reporters with us. The fake news was with us a little bit that day. We left a couple of them behind in the parking lot. It was a madhouse getting out of there, if you remember. And one of the reporters was a little slow to move. He wasn't as quick as Mr. Trump was, so we left him behind, which was probably a precursor of where things was going to go for the rest of the campaign. But look, I want to tell you how fortunate Dave and I are to be here today and what we're here for. And we'll be happy to take some questions after. But look, the most important thing is, I'm going to scare you guys. I'm going to tell you the truth because that's what I do for a living. Because I don't give a shit, okay? I tell everyone the truth. The Democrats are highly motivated. They are winning elections in places where they shouldn't be. We've seen them win state house races now in Wisconsin. We've seen them win big mayor's races in New Hampshire. 50 seats have already changed hands from the Republicans to the Democrats since Donald Trump was elected. That should be very concerning for us. And Dave and I are here to make sure that one thing happens, that Buchanan goes to the state house and we don't have another Democrat in office. But make no mistake, the Democrats are unified in their opposition to the president. They're unified to make sure that our president is not successful. Let me just give you the quick statistics. We've got about 35 Republican members of the House who've already decided they're not seeking re-election or are seeking election to a different office. If the Democrats win 25 of those seats, they take over the majority. And if the Democrats take over the majority, I promise you, the first thing they will do is move to impeach the President of the United States. We need to be vigilant. And here in the state of Florida, we've got a total of 35 U.S. senators up for re-election this year. 25 Democrats, 10 Republicans, 10 Democrats are sitting in states that Donald Trump won 2 years ago. One of them is right here in this state. If we don't send Donald Trump some support in Washington to the U.S. Senate, he cannot be successful. They've got this arcane, crazy rule that you need 60 votes to get stuff done in Washington. I don't understand it. They changed the rule for our great Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch. Thank God we did it with 51 votes. But Donald Trump needs help from the state of Florida, and he has to make sure that we send a Republican U.S. Senator from Florida up to Washington to move the president's agenda forward, so we need your help to do that. Again, I want to thank you for the opportunity to come. I'm going to turn it over to Dave Bossie. He'll say some words, and then we'd love to take some questions and talk about how fortunate we are to have been on an amazing journey on the greatest campaign that our country has seen with a historic candidate. So let me turn it over to Dave Bossie.
Thank you very much, Corey. Give him a round of applause. He loves it. First of all, it's just an honor to be here today. I want to thank everybody who put this thing together. It is so important that we do exactly what Corey's talking about, which is to send Buchanan to the state capitol to make sure that the Democrats don't get this seat. So please, every single one of you have to go out and work from now to Election Day and make sure that you, your family, your friends are all voting, because that's the complacency that's dangerous to the Trump presidency. So we must win this seat, so we got to send them there. I want to say thank you for all of your support for President Trump. He so appreciates it. He loves the state of Florida, right? We all know that. He loves the state of Florida. I'll tell you, I stood next to him on election night, feeding him the information coming in from all across the country, and he kept looking at me, calling me a genius, which was not a compliment at the time, by the way. And because we were down in Florida, right? We were down in Florida, and we came roaring back and won this state. And when they called Florida for Donald Trump on election night, an earthquake happened under the island of Manhattan. And mostly it was because Hillary Clinton fell over in the hotel across the street. So, look, we have had an amazing ride. Corey and I got a chance to witness history firsthand. It is an incredible honor to have been, for us to be able to call the president our friend. We worked tirelessly to get him elected, to beat Crooked H. It was so important that she lose because we couldn't afford, America could not afford 4 more years of the failed Obama status quo. And look, how's that tax cut treating everybody here, right? Look, we are seeing more and more companies across this country give their employees those crumbs that the Democrats keep talking about, right? Whether it's pay raises at Walmart, whether it's bonuses at one company after another, pay raises across the board, 401k matches to their retirement plans. Real wealth for real Americans. Yeah. The Democrats don't believe in that. So look, whether it is our economy, which is booming, right? We've had 3% plus growth in 2017 in the second and third quarter, 2.6 in the fourth quarter. And I actually wondered why we went down a little bit, and the president was very clear about it. He said, if you're a businessman like me, you are going to not invest as much in the fourth quarter because you're seeing the tax cut is about to come. And your dollars as a company are going to go further in the first quarter of next year. Yeah. So this quarter, right now that we are in, is going to be a booming economy for this country across all 50 states. So we're excited to be where we are. Our national security, right, at home and abroad is more powerful than it's been in the last 9 years today, right? We got Little Rocket Man is now behaving himself a little bit. We got a long way to go there. We got a long way to go. He's a frightening guy, but this president is going to stand tall, and that is peace through strength, right? That's Ronald Reagan's peace through strength. That's what we have again today. So whether it is our economy, which is back, whether it is our national security, our military, supporting that thin blue line, the men and women who are in the police departments across this country. You know, we lost 5 police officers in the line of duty this week. It is a profession that is getting harder and harder to be a part of, because you see what the loony left does to whip up the violence across this country. And you look at the lack of support that they have for the men and women who wear the uniform, who wear the blue in this country. It is devastating to the morale of our police forces across the country. So I thank them everywhere I go, because it is important for our children, right, for our neighborhoods, to have that strong police across this country. With that, I am so proud to be here. I want to thank Joe and the team for putting this together. I want to thank all of you for coming. I think Corey and I'd love to take some questions, right?
We love questions.
Yeah, we love questions. So
just not for the fake news.
Yeah. No fake news questions, but we
That's
love
okay.
that. Yes, ma'am.
I'll tell you what. You asked a question. We'll repeat it so everyone can hear it. Go ahead.
Do you think Bill Priestap has turned?
Bill Priestap.
What is that?
You gotta be hearing.
Was that a trick question?
No.
Bill Priestap, I don't know.
Judge Judy brought his name up this week. He is one of the top DOJ.
I don't know.
I'll be happy to talk about the Department of Justice. I don't know that particular. His name was Bill Priestap. I don't know that. But look, let's be clear for 1 second, okay? We got some bad hombres over there at the Department of Justice, okay? We have some deep state individuals who do not want to see this president succeed. Okay, look, we've got a guy in Jim Comey who not only lied to Congress, we call that perjury in the real world, right? But also took information that he obtained while he was the director of the FBI, gave it to a college law professor to make sure it made it to the front page of the newspaper against the FBI manual, and has not been prosecuted for it. I don't understand it.
We don't either.
Look, we need people to do their jobs, right? And when you break the law and you break the rules, there has to be accountability. Here's what we have seen from some of the bad guys at the FBI. Whether it's Peter Strzok and his girlfriend, or it's McCabe, they bring in Crooked H, they bring in Huma, they bring in Cheryl Mills, they bring them all in together. They get to tell their stories together. They say, well, I'm her attorney, she's my attorney, I'm his attorney. They tell them all together. They probably lie, we don't know. No accountability, right? Not one shred of accountability to the Clinton operation for that. And then you get Mike Flynn. He goes in, he has a conversation, he doesn't tell the truth. This guy's now a convicted felon. It's two different sets of rules for two different sets of people, and that's what we've seen, and that's what we need to change in Washington, D.C.
That is the definition. That's the definition of the elite taking care of the elite. And that is one of the big reasons that Donald J. Trump is our president today, because we are sick and tired of it. Yes, ma'am.
Drain the swamp.
That's right.
Do you realize how deep the swamp was?
You know, when you start draining the swamp, how deep is the swamp? When you start draining the swamp, those critters and creatures start sticking their heads up, right? And they get a little desperate. And that's what you see. You see desperation by the deep state attacking this president, whether it's within the national security apparatus, whether it's the leaks. It is unbelievable. It's unconscionable what some of these people are willing to do to protect themselves and their power. So this president is fearless in his effort to take on that deep state, to take on those folks who are trying to harm this country and trying to delegitimize his election. Yes, ma'am.
About all the information on Benghazi, and then nobody did anything with it. Now we have all the information on all this stuff about the deep state and Russia and all this crap. And Jeff Sessions has recused himself. Who in the AG's office is going to step up and do something with all this information?
So the question
I
is,
love her. That's a great question right there.
she asked the question, who in the Attorney General's office is going to step up and do something with Jeff Sessions recusing himself? Look, I know Senator Jeff Sessions, Attorney General Jeff Sessions very well. He is a good, honorable man. I mean that. I know him very well. But what he did by not telling the president that he was going to recuse himself before he took the position was a disservice to both the president and the country. Do you remember who Barack Obama's Attorney General was?
Yeah.
His wingman, he called him, right? I'm his wingman. Eric Holder went out and said, I'm the president's wingman. And if the president, Barack Obama, had run over somebody with the beast, Eric Holder would have said, nothing to see here, move along, right? There was zero accountability. Eric Holder was held in contempt of Congress on multiple occasions by the Republicans, and there was no accountability, zero, right? So here's what we need to do. We need to make sure that we have a truly independent investigator looking at some of the things that are taking place right now.
Look, I have been for probably 5 or 6 months calling for an independent counsel on Hillary Clinton, on the emails, on you name all of these problems that you guys are all frustrated about. The only way to get to the bottom of it is to have a special counsel, to have somebody who is outside of the Justice Department, much like Mueller, and we'll see how they like it. Yes, ma'am, right here in the red.
How do we get rid of these people? I mean, you're talking about accountability and everything. It keeps going on and on and on.
I'm going to go first, if that's okay. The way we get rid of these people, the way we get rid of these people is to make sure that we win elections. Because Barack Obama said it. Elections have consequences. And let me tell you, if we win in November, actually, if we win sooner than that. But if we win in November and keep the House and add to the majority in the United States Senate, that's when we can really make enormous headway in defeating that deep state.
That's right. Yes, sir.
When do you think the deep state is going to be charged, or at least people start talking about the word sedition? Because that's what's happening. They have tried to create a palace coup on our president, and that should not happen in the United States of America.
Look, let me say, when this president took office in January of last year, I have been critical that they have been slow to fill administration positions, right? The president gets 4,152 presidential appointments. That's a lot, okay? But he runs the government like a business. He says, do I really need 4,000 people to do what we can do with 1,000 people? Let me put this in perspective. The previous First Lady's office had 24 full-time employees. Melania Trump has 4. Okay, guess what? That's 20 less people that your tax money is going to support and spend.
And she's doing a fine job.
She's doing an amazing job, by the way. But there is a problem, because those holdovers that were from previous administrations, and specifically the Obama administration, not only do they not agree with this president, they have fundamental contempt for him and want to see him fail. And when the president came in, and if you remember, he removed 4 senior officials from the State Department, and they said, well, they have collectively 160 years of government experience. I said, well, that's the problem, right? This is the problem, because we've had the same foreign policy disasters for the last 30 years, and it's under the same people. So we have finally started to see things moving forward of getting people who support this president in the positions where they finally belong, and I think that will be a major difference in the second year of this administration.
Yes, ma'am.
I was born and raised in the Valley. I met my husband, he was in the Air Force. I had to pay 3 months of my salary as a teacher. I had a master in German and Russian. I could not marry him, and I could not come to this country. I am so against the DACA, because 3 months to my salary, and then after he left in May 19, the American Council, after I paid 3 months of my salary, they okayed it on August 19 to come. And I was not citizen till 1975.
So the question is on immigration and what we can do to fix a fundamentally broken system. Because this woman came here legally. Legally! Maybe you heard that term before. Okay? Look, here's what we cannot do. We cannot give up on building the wall. Okay? It is a promise the president made. It is a promise the president will keep.
Build the wall!
Build the wall! Well, that's exactly right. But it's, look, that's only part of it. Our immigration system is so fundamentally broken that 44% of the people that come to this country come through chain migration. Okay? That's insane. We have a broken visa lottery system. We see these stories every day. You see them. Man deported 10 times, 12 times, 15 times, 17 times. Oh, they only killed 1 American. We saw it last week with a football player in Indianapolis. He's on the side of the road trying to help somebody with a car, and an illegal alien came by and killed him. Drunk. And then fled the scene. They said, well, why is that different than the other drunk person? Because they were in the country illegally, and that person would be alive if we would have enforced our rules. We have to do a better job. We're a sovereign nation. If we can't control who comes into our country, then we're doing a disservice to our own citizens. The first priority of this president is to protect all U.S. citizens from all enemies, both foreign and domestic, and that means we control our borders. Yes, ma'am.
So, Donald Trump, Jeff Sessions is an appointed position, correct?
Yes, Jeff is the, well, he's confirmed by the U.S. Senate, yes.
He's appointed by the president, okay. Why is he not asked to step down by the president and appoint somebody else? Why are we all sitting here?
So the question is, why has Jeff Sessions not been asked to step down by the president and appoint somebody else? Let me tell you what I think the political reality is where we are right now, okay? We've got a couple issues, and look, Jeff Sessions has cracked down on MS-13, a serious problem that he has done. Okay? The political reality in the United States Senate is a hyper-partisan environment where they don't want to see any other Senate confirmations come through. And what Mitch McConnell is doing right now, to his credit, and I'll give credit to Mitch on this, is he is moving federal judges through the system faster right now than at any time in the president's history. That has a long-term impact on the way our country functions. And they have to look. Even if the president wanted to ask Jeff to resign, and I'm not saying he does or he doesn't, even if he did, you'd have to take a person and put him through a Senate confirmation process, which will take hundreds of hours of man time to go through that process, when right now, we need to get our federal judges through, we need to get our U.S. Marshals through, we need to get our U.S. attorneys through, we need to get our U.S. ambassadors. Look, we don't have an ambassador to Poland, we don't have an ambassador to Germany. The Senate works 3 days a week. I don't know, who the hell works 3 days a week? I don't understand this, right? It's really like 2.5 days. They come in late, they bang out a little early, they have dinner a couple nights, right? Only in the government does this happen, right? In the private sector I work, you gotta work 5 days a week, right? Like everybody else does. Or 6,
We work
or 7.
We work 7, but
Right? So, look, I think the issue is the Senate has only worked 2 and 3 days a week, and that needs to change. And if that were to change, we'd have more Senate confirmation appointments through. Joe Grudas would be through on the Amtrak board. We just put Joe up for that job. He's going to make sure he fixes the broken train system, hopefully. Bring some fiscal accountability. But that's the issue. Yes, sir, in the back.
Why don't we have McCabe, Trump, and Kobe? Why aren't they testifying in front of the Senate?
McCabe and Kobe. Look, it's a great question, and I think there is going to be a long-term investigation on McCabe. I think there's going to be a long-term investigation on Jim Comey. What we have seen was, Jim Comey has said he was the pillar of society. He was going to be the one who...
the last Boy Scout.
The last Boy Scout, right? He was an Eagle Scout, in case you forgot, okay? Well, now he's a liar. Okay, that's the difference. And the difference is this. That investigation is nowhere near closed. Nowhere near closed. And what we saw just this week was the email exchanges between 2 FBI agents, an agent who's in charge of the counterintelligence unit, actually, and his paramour, his girlfriend, right? And then finally, when they realized they were actually being tracked, they send the final email, the text that says, please don't text me anymore, okay? I mean, it's amazing what they talked about in there, and there has to be some accountability, and I think that's coming. It's just not here yet.
Yes, sir.
This is for you two. With all the fake news media and all the stories that have been hit at you since the beginning, how do you keep President Trump and keep your group on track to just keep focused with every kind of ridiculous scandal they can come up with?
You mind if I answer this one?
Just repeat it.
He's asking basically, how do we stay focused, and how are we trying to help the president? How are we going to get things accomplished? Look, Corey and I are out there every day kicking the you-know-what out of the left. And whether we're on television, I don't know if you see us, but, Corey does hand-to-hand combat on CNN, and I'm a little luckier. I go on Fox. Corey's on Fox a lot too. But we're out there every day trying to help this president be successful. Every single day of the week, it is, whether it's on television, whether it's traveling across the country to visit with great people like you, here in Sarasota. We are trying to spread the good word of what this campaign, what the campaign was about, and remind everybody through our book, Let Trump Be Trump, about what that campaign stood for. Those principles, why he ran and won, what the deplorables, all of us in this room, right, stood for, and what we still stand for. We can't let up. That's the biggest issue that I see out there today, is we have to be as excited as they are, as the left is. The left thinks they have us on the ropes. Guess what? They don't. Because this tax plan right? The tax reform package that this president got through, the biggest one in 36 years, is going to, by November, have America's economy roaring again, and people vote with their pocketbooks, first. And secondly, our national security is getting stronger by the day. Our Air Force is being built up. Our Navy is being built up. Our men and women in the Army and in the Marine Corps have their proper training and the proper equipment. Oh, by the way, and they have rules of engagement that don't put them in harm's way. They kill the enemy. So look, I believe that this president is going to have a great story come the November elections. And we are looking forward to every day being out there trying to help him and making sure that we educate the American people on all of these things between now and Election Day.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Is the president aware that the American people are willing to fight to take our country back? For example, the American people are willing to build and fund the wall.
Yeah.
So the question is the president aware that the American people are willing to fight and take their country back and to build the wall?
Yes.
Look, I'll tell you this. I grew up in a town called Lowell, Massachusetts. Blue-collar town. And had a pretty good work ethic, because that's all you know how to do up there. You fight your way through things. I love to fight, okay? That's what I do. I love to fight. And I thought I was a fighter, right? And maybe you've seen some of the media shots of me, right? I don't give a shit, okay? I don't care. I got big, broad shoulders. I don't care.
No, you don't. You're tiny.
A fighter is Donald Trump. I saw it every single day I had the privilege of being next to him. He would come down from his apartment. I'd say, sir, meet me at 6 a.m. And he'd meet me at 6 a.m. And we'd get on the road and he'd be ready to fight. He fought every day in the campaign. He outworked 16 Republican geniuses in that primary. And he outworked Crooked H. Because he's a fighter. And I know this for sure. He goes to that beautiful residence at the White House, and he puts his head down at night sometimes. Sometimes he doesn't sleep, as you know, because you follow his Twitter account. And he wakes up the next morning, and he's ready to fight. And he fights every single day for what he believes to be right, and thank God we have a fighter in the White House. We have somebody in the White House for a change who doesn't apologize for being the American president. We have someone in the White House who says, it is my job to make America great again, not some other country. We have someone in the White House who says, we're not going to keep giving money to the failed UN if they don't reel themselves in. We're going to keep our own money for a change. And that's what I think the American people saw during this campaign and see every day is Donald Trump, the authentic, genuine fighter who every day, whether you agree with his philosophy or you disagree, you respect the fact he goes out and he fights what he believes in, and he doesn't cower to the left, who've done everything they can to attack him.
Yes, sir, right here.
I'm Lewandoski, a Republican. I'm running for governor. Do you think, for the state of Florida, do you think the Democrats' strategy for winning the next presidential election is to use women and to use minorities so the Democrats could portray Donald Trump as being against?
So look, the question was, are the Democrats going to use women and potentially minorities in the next 2020 election against the president to say that Donald Trump is against those particular individuals? Let me tell you something, okay? I ran a campaign. Did you ever hear of the specific groups that we had, which were one-legged African-American women with one eye for Trump? No, all right? We never had this shit, okay? It's ridiculous. We didn't have it. It was the same message regardless of where we were in the country. It was the same message of make America great again. It didn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're a woman or you're a man, if you're white or you're black or you're green or you're orange. Economic prosperity and having a great place to live cuts across all socioeconomic status, cuts across all genders, it cuts across all divides there is, and that's why Donald Trump won, because he gave the same message. What Hillary Clinton did was, she pretended to be something she wasn't. Do you have any hot sauce over here? I keep some in my purse, I think she said one time, right? I mean, it's such a pander to people that they know is fake. And Donald Trump was authentic. And do you remember what he said in the campaign? Hey, vote for me. What the hell do you have to lose? Right? And now we're on. African American unemployment is at the lowest in recorded history. Hispanic unemployment at the lowest in recorded history. Because Donald Trump, I like to say, is an equal opportunist. He treats everybody the same. Everybody gets treated the same. You know how to do your job, you're successful, you don't, you're fired. It's that easy.
Yes, ma'am. Last question, I think.
I want to know why Robert Mueller is still in there investigating our president when they proved that was a false document.
You know, I'm just going to say, the president, look, a lot of people get very caught up in this question.
Right.
We cannot fire Mueller. Okay? You can't fire him. If we fire him, I believe that the presidency is over, because the left and the media would be so outraged and against this president, we would get nothing done. This president is doing the exact right thing. He is saying to Mueller, you're over here playing in your little sandbox, and you're trying to get outside of the scope of what you were supposed to be, because there's been no Russia collusion, cooperation, right? It's all bullshit, right? The whole thing is based on BS. That's just the way it is. So we know that now, right? We know that the FISA court and the FISA warrant that was gotten from it was poisoned right from the outset. So we are just looking at time. Time is the only thing that Mueller has. He has nothing else. There's no evidence. There's absolutely nothing to be feared. But I think firing him personally, I have said, and I would tell him, please, we cannot do that. Yeah, I think one last question. Yes, sir, right back there.
When is Mueller going to have the integrity to stop, to say there is nothing there? This is over. How much is this cost?
He's getting paid.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. You know, look, I've run a lot of investigations in my life. I believe he is on a trajectory of wrapping up at some point here. I don't know if it's next month, meaning March. I don't know if it's April. But here's the thing. He has to finish his way. He has to be finished his way on his timetable and come up with his answers, which are going to be good for the president. Okay? They're going to be good for the president because there's nothing there. So we know that. And so I am not interested in forcing him, because it creates the same type of problem. The mainstream media, right? The lying mainstream media only wants to attack this president. So we cannot give them any ammunition. You want to?
Let me just say this. You guys have an election on Tuesday, okay? The fake news is going to watch you. Okay? The failing New York Times wants to write that James Buchanan lost his seat and that Donald Trump cannot carry a candidate anymore. That's what they want. You cannot allow it. You cannot allow the left, which is engaged, to win here. This is Trump territory. This is Trump country. And what you need to do on Tuesday in your special election, you need to make sure James wins. And then in November, you have to make sure you send Senator Nelson home for the first time in a long, long time. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you all very much. Get out and vote for change on Tuesday. Let's get...
All right, everybody. First off, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out here today. You have an opportunity to buy a book and get a picture and get these books signed on the back left. They're going to follow Jack Brill, the vice chairman, up to the front. Please get a book signed. Thank you for coming. Let's vote for James Buchanan and Matt